whispers directly into your ear holes. It's just this way at the Dim Carnival.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And this week we're talking about Psychopathics from Outer Space, a concept mixtape about aliens that came out at a certain time. We've already discussed like fully half of the songs off of this album. Well, pretty much.
Just about, yep.
Yeah, so we were going to go ahead and dive into this bad boy. We discussed it a bit on the podcast last time. The official release date of this album is April 18th, 2000. But Jiggles, our friend Jeremy, was to send us a whole bunch of information about songs that are on this album and Psychopathics from Outer Space in general. His notes are that this was originally sold on the Wicked Clowns from Outer Space tour, which ran from September 30th, 1999 to March 14th, 2000. And it has been intermittently sold on Hatchet Gear. I've seen it in like Amoeba Music and Rasputin Music here and there as a new album, like as a not used album. So it was shipped out to some record stores at least. I don't know if any of you guys can independently confirm that, but I have definitely seen it in record stores.
I bought it on tour.
I know.
I had never heard of it until we did this show.
Oh, nice. Hey, there you go.
That is not true, but I never actually to it until this show.
The back of the album has a track listing, obviously, and it says not Psychopathic Records, although it does have a Hatchet Man wearing a space suit and with a ray gun instead of a hatchet.
Right, and glitter.
Yeah.
Font.
It's Joe and Joey Records, and it says all wrongs reserved. Oh, these guys. And it's not a copyright. It's copy wrong 2000.
That's right.
And then it says bootleg style, baby. What? Stolen beats, uncleared samples, and illegal licensing, but we gives no fucks. Gimme, spelled Gimmy, the loot, and it's yours. Only 5,000 made, so keep it on the low. Hurry up and get you one. I'm sure there are probably eventually more than 5,000 made, but, maybe that's accurate. Who knows? The first track, I'll just go ahead and talk about the tracks as we talk about them. The Dirt Ball is the first track, and if you have not listened to that track yet, go ahead and take a listen now. So the Dirt Ball is a song about aliens reporting back about what they've seen on Earth, and this kicks off the whole Psychopathics from Outer Space, concept, the whole album in general. This is ICP and Twisted, so if you want to consider that Dark Lotus as of 2000, go ahead and do that. It was released as a free single, which was included with AP Magazine in April of 1999. So, May of 1999. Guys, what did you think of the Dirt Ball?
That's great. Are you there, Steve?
Lots of
I'm here.
Okay.
I just refused.
He hates this song. The first time I had heard any of this song was the end credits of something. I think a Stranglemania or a JCW or maybe it was even in the end credits of Big Money Hustlers, but I heard it, the end credits of something. It might have been the end credits of Shockumentary. Who even knows?
Bill, have you seen Heavy Metal 2000?
No. I'm sad I've seen the original Heavy Metal.
What?
Yeah, what?
It stinks. It's a bad movie.
What?
Eh.
Well, I haven't seen it since I was like,
I'm
I
gonna
don't
give
know,
you a hug.
probably in 20 years.
It's not a really good rewatch, so don't do that. Just remember it in its glory.
Remember
When it made you horny.
when you saw it as a kid and you're like, that cartoon has boobs in it.
Yes.
That was all. Yep, that was all I needed to know about it.
Yeah, and John Candy's voice. Those two things.
It sure does have
Yeah,
John
Harold
Candy's voice.
Ramis in it.
Yep.
Nah. Yeah. John
One of
Candy.
those thick guys more than the other one. Steve does. So I heard it. Why are you asking me about Heavy Metal 2000? Because this is in the end credits of Heavy Metal 2000.
It's on the soundtrack.
Oh, nice. Hey, good for them. But I had heard it in the end credits of some ICP release, just this is our world, so get the fuck out. Or, you know what, maybe it was even like as part of a segment on some ICP video. But I know that I saw it as part of video that I was watching that involved ICP, and I didn't know what this song was, and I didn't find out for a long time where it came from. But
Well, don't they do This Is Our World, get the fuck out at the end of the Wraith song where they're doing clips of a bunch of songs?
Yeah.
That is also true.
Maybe
So,
that's where you recognize that from?
That's probably where I heard it. Sure. But here it is in all of its glory. That's the chorus. The chorus is very hard to understand that that's what they're actually saying because they just cranked all the distortion and gain all the way up. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty strong concept for, one of their patented story songs.
Yeah, they get chased by I like it too. I mean, they get chased by fat rednecks and white hoods.
It's just the musical of spaced invaders.
So it's like Violent J, Shaggy Two Dope, and Twisted are aliens, and they've come to Earth, and they checked out the situation. It seems like they've only gone to America as a representation, so maybe a little limited in scope, but they're reporting back, on everything that they've discovered, and what they've discovered is that we're really shitty to each other.
You know what, guys? This is our world.
So the alien, the Americans or the Earthlings, they're not just assholes to aliens. They're not just assholes in general. They're not just assholes to outsiders, but they're also staunchly defensive about what's theirs. They're like, yeah, like we fucking suck and we're mean to each other. So get the fuck out of here because you're not even part of this anyway. And boy, is that ever accurate in 2018.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Felt a lot of that.
Yeah.
Wow. They're really, really building that fence out there.
Well, yeah, just like those of us here on our dirt ball. They're saying that if you don't like what we're saying, you can...
There's no way I'm going to be able to edit out all of the sounds of the fence being built outside, so I'm just going to acknowledge it. I would have really
noticed if you hadn't called it out, so...
Okay.
You know what? Just say it's me taking hits off a Blam.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Thanks, Steve.
I'm vaping.
Those dank nugs or whatever.
Those dank nugs. I started making that noise, and my cat was asleep in here, and he looked up at me all crazy.
There it is. That's
nice. Yeah.
So I really love...
Sorry.
You dickhead. I just really love the concept. I really love the music. I bought this album. This album in Psychopathic Riders at the first ICP show that I ever went to, which was on this tour, the Psychopathics from Outer Space tour, or Wicked Clowns from Outer Space tour. And I saw them, I think it was October 3rd. And that was... So I guess just a few days after the tour had just started, right at the very beginning of the tour, and you could buy these records for $10 cash only, and so I knew
that's a deal. That's a good ass deal.
Each, $10 each.
Yeah, because whenever I saw these in the store, they were like at least $16. But go ahead.
Yeah,
right.
It's a fucking long album.
Yeah, well, and for like a hardcore punk rock kid that I was, that was like what you paid for an album, $10 is what you charge. You can't charge more than $10, or whatever. So that was cool. And I got, after the concert, I jumped in my car and I had to choose which one am I going to listen to. And I put this one in first So this was the first song that I heard, and I was like, fuck yeah! It hits you just like every other ICP track, or a new CD. You put it in, and you want that song you want it to start, and you want to like it so bad. And I thought it was great. It was a cool. I thought that the production value was there too. It was like a cool skit or story or whatever. Like more theatrical or whatever to start the album, and I was super excited for all the other tracks that were coming.
Yeah. Steve, I want to hear you talk about this track, the Dirtball.
So like I said, I made a joke saying that I'd never heard this album before. I mean, and I technically never heard the album. I heard lots of songs off of it from other things, but and I forgot about a lot of songs that were on this, but I had no idea that those songs separately were a collection off this album. So I never heard this song before. This is the first time I ever heard this song, and I liked it. It was really cool. I just I thought it was like kind of like a lot of things what Ryan said as far as the concept of the song. I certainly don't have a neat story like his story. And so I could see why he would absolutely adore this album, because it does feel like that. And it's like a Joker's card kind of thing. And of course, the production. I mean, I'm listening to it mostly on headphones off of YouTube, so I don't know what the production should sound like necessarily, like in a nice system. Mm-hmm. But I just, part of me knew that these are songs that like are other songs as well, like the music, and I don't know what any of it is, so it's all super new to me still. Mm-hmm. Like I don't recognize any song off this album, where I'm like, oh yeah, that's that song. Like, so to me, if you never said that these were other songs, I would have just thought like, this is a fucking well pieced together musical album.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, anyways, but I dug this.
I also can definitely see that, I can definitely envision heavy metal style animation set to this song, like for sure. Yeah. So probably a good choice to have this in the movie Heavy Metal 2000, although we don't have any idea whether it got its own little set piece. It was probably just incidental music. It was probably just like a snippet of it was playing on a space truck as it drove by in the background.
Could be.
I've never seen that.
I like that none of us
have you
have
seen it, Ryan?
Nope.
I don't think anyone's ever seen it. I don't think anyone's ever seen this movie.
Ghost movie.
Does it really exist?
Well, it had a $15 million budget, but there's no telling how much money it actually made. And it has a 10% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 10 critics who have seen it. Ouch. So 10 critics have seen it, probably 4 people.
Not a good ratio.
Critics are people. So shall we jump ahead to the next track?
Yeah, man.
Whatever.
Let's do it.
Well, we talked about Murder when we talked about Most Tasteless, because this is one of the many twisted tracks on Psychopathics from Outer Space, which were on the original version of Most Tasteless, that were not on the version that most people are familiar with. It is good job, Kat. It is actually an unreleased House of Crazies song from 1996, produced by ROC and Method Man sample, as we talked about. And then we are going to jump into the third track. And if you haven't listened to $50, or as the title of the song would have you believe, $50 bucks. If you haven't listened to that yet, go ahead and listen right now. So guys, $50 bucks has always been one of my favorite ICP songs ever since I heard it. Ryan and I were very pleased that they played a portion of this when we saw them most recently in Los Angeles. We were surprised. Yeah. This track was originally recorded for Amazing Jekyll Brothers, but it had a very prominent Led Zeppelin sample that is definitely not cleared. Because the only music that Led Zeppelin has ever approved use of is the entirety of the music that appears in Sharp Objects. So we didn't get this on Jekyll Brothers. Island Records wasn't willing to pay Led Zeppelin money, but the first time I heard this song, me and Steve bought 4 copies of the Pendulum comic book series. The 4 issues that we could find at a local comic book shop, which were like issues like 4, 5, 8, and 9 or whatever. So
do you still have those? Do I have them?
No. I don't know.
I might have them then.
Each issue of the Pendulum came with a CD that had 1 track on it, or maybe 2 tracks. And eventually those were compiled in an album, and maybe we'll hit that at some point if we don't hit all those tracks individually, which we probably will. But $50 was one of the songs off of those CDs that I got. And man, what a lucky pull that was that we were able to find, because the song is absolutely incredible. I love it. It's the rare sex song that Steve likes, I think. And it's basically the clowns making bets with each other that they can go over to the rich side of town and find sweet love making on offer, and they take turns telling the other about a rich woman that they know.
Yep.
Well, I think it's multiple women in the song, right? Different
Right.
women?
They each tell about a different...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Sorry if that was confusing the way I originally said it.
So I had forgotten about this song. Like I think we were talking about this before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this song came on, when it instantly, I think, doesn't this have the robot voice in front of it too? That alien.
Yeah, most of the tracks have the.
Yeah.
robot.
Okay. Yeah.
$50 will annihilate your planet.
That's right. And right when I heard that, and then the guitar kicks in, I was like, I can't believe I forgot about this song. You know, I've talked many times about my long playlist of ICP songs, and this wasn't on it. And there's another song we're going to talk about that wasn't on it. And so these songs got lost to my memory. And there's like certain songs sometimes where I'm like, I know I want to hear a song that I haven't heard in forever, but I don't know what it is, and I'll go through a bunch of different albums and can't find it. And 2 on this album were that for me, and this was one of them. I was just like, oh my god, this is that song. I can't believe I forgot about this song.
Yeah, I always love this
guys,
song.
I also feel like this is one of the rare. I could be wrong. I'm willing to be completely wrong with this, but it seems like this is one of the rare, like earlier sex. Not like it's early. We're 5 albums into their at this point, but one of the rare like pre-2000 ICP tracks about fucking that's like completely like on the level with like consensual stuff and like people on both sides being interested in the play that they're getting up to, right?
It seems that way to me. It seems like it's pretty good natured, all the way around.
Yeah.
I was horrified by it.
Right. And
I don't feel like. I mean, no, go ahead. Never mind. Go ahead.
With Greta, the millionaire's daughter, like Shaggy points out her eyes, but he says there's nothing like her and talks about all the fun. And he says that he loves her. And I think that that's kind of interesting. Like, yes, he does point out her size, and it's possibly like, for comical effect, but the comical stuff is really sort of like how they interact and not necessarily just that she's fat. But I mean, that's probably a generous reading of that. But regardless, like everyone's super into everything that happens in this song, and it's very fun. And it might sound shady.
Yeah.
I wish I could meet a woman named Grady. Like, not that I'm like on the market for a woman, just like I think it would be neat to have a friend who was a woman named Grady.
I mean, I would be down to hang out with any rebellious rock chicks.
Guys, what is the sound? What were to put the sound into words of Grady tonguing Jay's balls? What would those words be?
Oh, blah blah blah.
Very, very good.
Blah 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 blah.
Steve, do you have a dissenting opinion here?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Ryan's
Uh,
because I'm not quite
think,
sure what that sounds like.
I think that this is one of the rare instances where whoever uploaded these lyrics to Genius nailed it, because this said "ooh, wada blah."
Wada blah. It could be wada blah.
Yeah.
I thought ooh wada blah. Yeah, it could be wada
Also,
blah.
the idea of looking down and his nuts were kick-stepping is really great.
Yeah, I love that he says that she likes it rough, and like she punches him.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. She's like, I like it rough. Smack.
Yeah.
I like the reveal too that they're in like the soda aisle.
It was weird though.
Guys, the chorus is so good. The chorus is so much fun. Especially like at the end of the song when Violent J is like singing it, like really belting out the chorus is just a good time, and it's had by all like the people listening to it, the people performing it. It's just everyone's having a good time, and it's great. The one thing that is maybe my favorite part of the song is Greta does the funny little trick she does with Shaggy's dick hole is like, yeah, that's funny, like what happens, but blowing into it and making a wish is my favorite part of the song. Is like,
well, it had to rhyme.
Well, no, just like that's what makes it work. Like that's what makes it work. Like she has to she's just blow into his dick hole, and then she like has to close her eyes and make a little wish and say a little prayer.
And then they go.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And then his nuts expand like pufferfish. But it's like in Three Caballeros when Donald tries to blow on his thumb and become big like Joe Carioca. He is unable to. He inflates his hand, and then it blows back into his head, and then his head gets really big. So that's some primo Three Caballeros referencing for everyone.
Yeah,
Who,
well done.
Thank you. It's because Joe Carioca knew to make a wish before he blew into his thumb. Also, Donald had cards up.
He says. So him and his friends used to go hang out with this lady, and she would make them chocolate Swiss cheese pie. And that
and bake it.
She would bake it. She would take it and bake it. She would do it without
naked.
Without any clothes on. That's a bonus. If a lady's gonna make you a pie, I feel like that's a pretty significant bonus. And it made me think of my buddy Josh, who doesn't have many. Who has a lot of embarrassing stories that I like to tell about him. Poor Josh. But he does have
give
one.
His last name just real quick. No,
no. We'll call him Josh. Josh had a great story. So I was a late bloomer. I didn't get a girlfriend until after high school. But my friend Josh was very popular in high school, which is weird because we were like a pretty close group of friends. We weren't super popular, but he was. And I remember one time he like called me up. I was old enough to drive because I drove over to his house, and when I got there, he's like, the craziest thing just happened. He woke up from a nap. So what happened was this girl that lived down the street that was into him came over and ordered a pizza delivered to his house. And while the pizza was coming, she gave him a blowjob. And then the pizza arrived, and Josh ate a slice of pizza and fell asleep. And when he woke up, she was gone, but the pizza was still there. We were teenagers, man, and I wanted to like punch the wall out. This is my friend's life. That's the thing that just happened to you, you fucking asshole. And so I picture these guys having a lot of fun. They go over to this lady's house and she's got her big old boobs out, and she makes them a pie, and it's all a good time. Everybody's having a good time.
I had never understood what Shaggy said between 950 something pounds and she loved clowns. I have never understood what he has said before.
Me neither. I always just assumed he's like buying guitars.
Five, I thought it was 5 guitars, and I love clowns.
I was like, I thought it was buying guitars.
Well, according to Genius, he says something like 950 something pounds, 5'8" tall, and she loved clowns.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, sure. I just like that we're solving mysteries on this.
Yes.
By use of the things that other people have done on the internet.
Guys,
right.
can you do me a
Sure.
favor and picture in your mind a vast ocean of loopness?
Hmm?
What does that look like to you? What is loopness?
Well, it ain't like nothing. Ocean of loopness, man. It's like in whatever Jackass that is, where the lady comes in and lays down on Wee Man and he disappears.
Yeah, I just kind of picture a lady, has a lot of ripples. She's big. And, if there's enough of them, it does seem like it's like infinite places to put your wang to jerk it off.
Right,
I
it's
mean-
just a swarm of people,
Yeah.
all mashing all over each other.
Yeah.
I kind of picture that movie High Society from the 80s where all those rich people were in a secret society and they would have these orgies and all their bodies would meld together into this giant fleshy blob of like flesh and bones sticking out weird and like someone's ass would spread and there'd be a face in it. And you should watch that movie. It's crazy.
The fuck are you talking about?
High Society, 1988, 89. It's a weird movie.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, no, that's what I picture. Big ocean of loopness, like a bunch of rich people all having an orgy and their bodies melding together. People know that movie. You guys look it up. It's not even a hard movie.
The only movie I'm pulling up with
High Society.
Yeah, the only movie I'm pulling up with that's High Society is from 1956, and it's a musical comedy starring Bing Crosby and Grace Kelly.
Maybe it's not called High Society.
It's probably called
Pretty
Eyes
sure.
Wide Shut.
No, I'm pretty
Is
sure.
it just
you
called
know what?
Society?
No.
From the producer of Reanimator? The rich have always fed off the poor.
It's just called Society?
An ordinary teenage boy discovers his family is part of a gruesome orgy cult for the social elite.
Well,
Yeah, it
that's
seems like this is the movie you're talking about, dude.
It is. It's called Society. I thought it was called High Society.
Comedy, horror film from 1989.
And they're definitely and absolutely. As soon as you click on
Yeah, you're right.
as soon as you click on images, the second image is a guy's face in the middle of a butt, and that is also the cover of one of the DVD releases. And the fourth image is a weird orgy where everyone's connected. So good job.
Oh!
This I gotta say, Steve, this picture, guys. All right, everyone. Steve, I gotta say, this orgy from Society does not look as fun as the Ocean of Blue in $50 bucks.
You guys just asked me what it made me think of, and that's what it made me think of. I apologize. I said the wrong title.
Well, guys, good news. A sequel, Society 2 Body Modification is in development.
Yes, it's necessary.
Because it'll answer all those questions from Society 1, like, how does he poop?
Wow, that's an incredible.
That movie is
Steve.
really
Good job.
disturbing. I am so happy I shared that.
Where did you see this movie?
Years going to the movie, like ComSource was in Salinas. Remember ComSource? Before there was before there was Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. And they had a huge horror movie section. And they had all kinds of crazy movies. And I would see that as a kid. like I said, it came out in like 89. And so in the 90s, it was on the shelves and I would look at it and I'd be like, oh, that's so weird. I need to see that. And I didn't see it until I was an adult. And I think I just ordered it on Netflix or something. And then I watched it and I was like, holy shit, this is fucked up. Yeah.
The main actor's name is Bill.
Nice.
Oh,
Well, speaking of Billy
I
Warlock,
I contributed way more than I thought I would on
you
that.
did. It was very, very illuminating.
So everyone, watch Society. It's a fantastic film.
So let's move ahead to the next track, which is called Blam! And it's credited to Twisted, but it's actually a Mr. Bones song because it's Jamie Madrox on here. And if you haven't listened to this track, go ahead and take a listen right now.
All right.
The robot voice in the intro to this song says, "Old school Twisted found in the rubble of Earth's remains." This was a Jamie Madrox track that was recorded way back in 1996, and it was for the unreleased Mr. Bones solo album, Something Weird. Now, Jeremy's additional note on this track is, best song on this set, hands down. Almost every line is a hard hitter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job, Jeremy.
Sure. So, I mean, I didn't really pay very close attention to this song, so if anyone wants to go ahead and talk about him eating some Fritos, go ahead.
So I feel like this song is, to me, if he mentions, so this, like you said, it's Mr. Bones, House of Crazy. So this was recorded several years before this release of this recording. And I think he even says, like, we're holding down 96. I'm trying to look through the lyrics to find it, but he says, like, yeah, House of Crazy's holding it down for 96 and beyond or something. So I was thinking that the sound to me sounds like a 90s era hip hop song, rap song, but like a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't have the full production value or whatever, it's still a little bit lo-fi, like that original Twisted sound. Damn. It, somebody just dropped something on my house. It sounded more like mainstream to me. And I kind of felt like that's how a lot of the album was. It's like, this is like a little bit of a cleaner album for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if that's his intention. Like, I don't know if he intended his ill-fated solo release to be like distinct from House of Crazies and be like less horror-core-y. I mean, it's definitely not very horror-core of a song.
No, and there's a couple tracks on this record that are from the original release of Most Tasteless where they use the N-word or whatever. So it's not, I'm not saying that there isn't any of that on this record, but I think the general tone overall, especially if you eliminate those older songs that are coming from albums that were recorded recorded for albums that were meant to come out years ago, that the newer stuff that's on there is a little bit not, I don't want to say that it's like sanitized or whatever, but it just feels a little bit more, it's not as antagonistic, right, as Amazing Jekyll Brothers was. We went from a dark, aggressive, violent album to songs that we're going to get to later where Shaggy jumps in and criticizes that they're too soft or whatever,
Well, I do appreciate in this song that Jimmy Madrox devotes like almost a quarter of a verse to getting ripped off by Hardee's.
I think he's got a lot of cool 90s references, like a lot of dated references in this song.
He's not made by Nabisco, but he drinks Cisco.
He mentions like super 90s specific things like chanting monks.
He's also referencing some nice 90s references like Al Pacino, the Beatles, and Chuck Berry.
Well, that was what I wanted to say. I wanted to say first I thought it was funny that he rhymed mosquito with Al Pacino.
Right.
I thought that was great. And then this is one of two references to the Beatles off this album that I noticed, at least. And I don't know if there's more, but there's another song that they referenced the Beatles that I thought was brilliant, and it's in my notes. And then this one was in there as well. So I just thought it's funny that they talk about the Beatles a little bit, because that just
Yeah.
seems like a very strange, random group for
It's
a hip hop
also
horrorcore group to like be referencing, even if it's
Also-
kind of goofball.
also like Ryan says, the second verse is. It honestly seems like he's trying to cram in. Like, it seems like the point of the verse is him trying to get in as many like pop culture or brand or company names as he possibly can in a verse. And as a result, a lot of the lines in the second verse seem like really, really weak or forced, or just like he's not even saying anything. Like, comic books and bitches is the shit I dig. I don't want to grow up because I'm a Toys R Us kid. I get lost in space like Will Robinson. Danger. Call in the Dragon Zord because I'm a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean anything.
Well, it kind of reminds me. I don't remember the name of the comedian at this point, but did you see the guy who did his Eminem impersonation?
Yes. Chris D'Elia. It's so good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's great, and that kind of reminds me of that. The blabbing and backing and the napkins and blackins, and it just keeps going. It was so awesome.
Serena Williams suck my penis.
Okay, that was off point, but it kind of reminds me.
Naked in the locker room.
Organic and planik and sanic and plastic and plastic and napkins and blapkins.
Yes. He's so bad.
He says Duncan lyrics in your ears like Eddie Jones. That's
that's good. See, that's
Yeah.
the thing is raps. Like, if you're making analogies or you're making references, you're supposed to be like blank cause blank or blank like I'm blank. But like, you're supposed to say like a real world thing and then compare that to a thing, or a thing you do and compare that to a reference. You can't say call in the Dragon Zord because I'm a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. You can't say that. Like, you can say like I flatten buildings because I'm a Dragon Zord or something like that. Like, you can make that sort of comparison. But I just feel like call in the Dragon Zord because I'm a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger is just like, you watch the show. Like, you've seen the show. Like, that's all that's saying.
Well, in 1996, Eddie Jones was like a shooting guard, small forward for the LA Lakers, and he had a great attitude or whatever. He was one of my favorite players at the time, so I really appreciate that being included.
Well, right. No, I'm saying that's good. And when he says like I'm a goofball with long hair growing wild like a chia pet, that's a line. That's a rap song line. That's fine.
You got that part right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this song's fine. I think it's much better than like the other Most Tasteless stuff that was cut.
Yeah.
I like it better than all those tracks.
I also think this song is fine. But like there's just some weird stuff in here, like hitting on the scene like jumping Jack Flash, a dash of pepper, it made me sneeze. Always itching my balls like I got some type of fleas. Oh baby, please.
He was young and learning. He didn't have all the wicked shit yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Give him a
Knick-knack,
break.
paddywhack, my name is Mr. Bones.
Exactly. Yeah, man, he's just letting you know he can make words rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to string along a sentence of words.
Well, he also does rip off Andrew Dice Clay in the beginning of the third verse, but, you know, whatever.
You have to do that.
You do. You have to.
It's a power
It's
play.
Part of being a rapper is you gotta lift the lyrics from.
I think, actually, honestly, my favorite thing about the song is how he says blam. Blam.
Yes. All right, guys. Any other thoughts, Blam, before we move on to the
It is the
next,
first time I ever heard that song. How about that?
Yeah, same. How about it? Well, let's talk about Sleepwalker by ICP, which is 6 minutes long for some reason. And if you haven't listened to that track now, we'll wait 6 minutes while you do. All right, so let's look at some information about Sleepwalker. It was the 1999 Hallowicked single, and I don't remember if this was the one that combo broke the continuous stories that had been told Oh, wait, no, it does. It does continue it, right? Kinda? Because remember we talked about the first Hello Wicked single is children telling stories to the class, and the second Hello Wicked single is Jay, having just told a story, insists on telling another story to the class. And now it's basically like a support group. And so it's Violent J telling another story to a group of people, which is I don't know if it's intentional, but man, they're really they're nailing it. They're continuing on.
Yeah, and it's like a support group, right?
Yeah.
With Legs Diamond is the moderator, world's greatest moderator.
Yes.
I fucking love this song, you guys. I feel like it's the good pairing of fun and scary.
Mm.
Like they got the good balance of that for me on this one.
Yeah,
you guys didn't like it. You guys didn't care for it.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I liked it better than I liked Blam. But I feel like it's a definitely like it seems like it would fit in the fourth quarter of pretty much any ICP album. Like wouldn't be out of place to be a late album track on most like Joker's cards.
So he's gone to this support group because he believes that he might be this midnight killer that's been all over the news. This unknown person who's out killing people in the neighborhood. And he is worried because he like has these. He wakes up in weird situations, not knowing what he's done or whatever. Wakes up in the backyard with a shovel and a knife, filling up a hole, and he knows that he's dug 32. I just think it's so cool, and the rest of it is just him talking about what he does and things like the clues or whatever that make him think that it's him. He's a killer.
You're absolutely right. That's what the song's.
Yeah. I like there's a picture of him. He's walking through the neighborhood. He's wearing his slippers and his sweats. Just kind of like he's mumbling and snoring and just shambling through the neighborhood. But if you get too close to him, he's gonna grab you by the neck. He's gonna choke you out.
I tend to like any sort of like well-made fiction that is about like maybe I'm a murderer, but I don't know because I have like a psychosis or some sort of imbalance or something. I think that tends to make for like very frightening, very interesting stories because it's like very like possible that like just anyone that could happen to just anyone, and like the real life like panic and drama of like trying to figure out what's going on with your brain and what you might be doing against your will is definitely like a legitimate like fear. I do like that he hopes that it's just bigots and rich people that he's killing, but
yeah, I was just gonna say right after the second chorus, he's like, "Oh, I hope it's all bigots and richies, but there's probably a couple innocent bystanders that get thrown in there." And so that's an interesting thing that we talked about multiple times about their being a reliable narrator, and whether or not if they're telling the story and they're doing these things, they're the historians, the keepers of the story. So they can pick and choose the aspects that they want and present it to us as being that they're purely like moral or good, or they could be honest and say like, yeah, sometimes we kill the wrong people.
Yeah. And I like that he says we all make mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
I really love that he name drops three things that in the year 1999 or 2000 could reliably be universal signifiers as all-night establishments or overnight establishments, which is to say Denny's, Kinko's, and summer camp.
Yeah. I like the Denny's because I like how later on another album they drop a Denny's line again, and it's really funny. So I couldn't help it. I don't remember this song. I know I've heard before, but when I heard it and then heard that line, it made me think of a future song, and that's one of the only things that made me like this song more.
Well, one thing that makes me like this song more is the fact that at night he travels on possum back.
Love that image.
Now, in your mind, is he standing? Is it full size Jay standing on the back of a regular sized possum? Is he riding a very big possum? How is he? How is the possum his conveyance?
Okay,
Can
so go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I don't want your thunder if you had the
No,
same
please.
image, because I thought of Homer Simpson in the clown school with Krusty on the tiny little bicycle with his knees sticking far up, and like he's like sitting on a tiny little saddle with reins, like trying to ride this song.
Very good. Very good.
So that was what I picked.
Yeah, I somehow in my mind it's both. Like it has to be both. But if I'm answering honestly, the image that I love the most is him, Tiny J, on a real sized possum that is scampering across the top of a fence with a full moon behind him, and he's just cackling, laughing, but totally asleep. And
that's your next tattoo, right?
I love it, man. That's a great. Actually, I love that whole verse. Eating with the raccoons, chirping with the crickets under the moon, waking up the next morning and he sees the steak and shake food wrappers in his lawn. Eating chili fries and slaughtered everyone is my favorite line in the song. I feel like the crafted moment where at the very end where he says, "I tried to go to a hypnotist to get fixed or whatever," but he woke up and he had murdered the hypnotist as well. Yeah, it's and the way he delivers the line or whatever, the music drops out or whatever, it goes into the chorus that I really enjoy. It's a very simple chorus, but I think it's really effective and fun. Just really, really enjoy the song a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like it. I'm gonna have to give it a few more listens after our work is done here.
Guys, the outro,
Mm-hmm.
the Violent J, hey. Going out, he is giving it 120%. He's belting out the hey. If you can't hear him screaming the hey in your mind, you need to stop and go listen to it again.
That's very good.
Are you threatening me?
I think that there are things about this album that, $50 makes me feel, when I was listening to that, I was thinking of, we often reference, Bill and I have listened to the audiobook of Violent J's autobiography, and he talks about different stories with groupies and different heights of fame and things that he had, and I feel like this is the time when they gave the least fucks, like had the most celebrity with the least accountability. So this is probably like the perfect, right, like combination of things to them where they could do whatever they wanted and they were well known, and they're doing big things or whatever and just having a really good time with it. And I think that that's reflected in the music, that it starts to feel a little bit more positive because they feel a little bit more free. What did I start saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and so then, sorry, I remember now. So then the other thing is that there have been little pieces of him experimenting more on tracks and doing more singing and different types of music that he's interested in. And so I think that this is another part of him where he just has that freedom or whatever, and it makes me feel like it's a positive thing for him on this track to be able to just cut loose a little bit, as we have mentioned before, something that we like about him that he does. And so it was just really fun for me to listen to it this time. I never really cared too much about this song until listening to it this time around. Liked it more and more.
Steve,
Nice,
any further thoughts on the track, Steve?
You guys made me like it a lot more just by talking about it, and I'm kind of like you, Bill, where I'm going to listen to this song a few more times, because I had a hard time getting past the, and just like it was that you've heard me talk about it before in the past, and you kind of even referenced it, or you say it was just like a song thrown in at the quarter end of almost any Joker's card to fill, like it's a good song and it fills some space. It's not their best songs. They know people aren't going to like it more than some of these other songs, but it's a good song, but it's got that like droning thing I don't usually like.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me to really appreciate a lot of lyrics. And like, just because I was reading the lyrics and listening to it, but I was just kind of him and hawing about it because of my own bias to the music style. And so to hear, especially Ryan saying it's like one of his favorite songs, I think that's what you said, but or just you love the song. I don't know if you said it was your favorite song on this album, but you were just saying how much you loved it, and that surprised me because I didn't even consider that. And then as you've gone along, like I'm appreciating a lot more because it's also not as dastardly as some of the other songs that have that type of beat and the awfulness of some of the things they say.
Sure.
And so that actually makes me appreciate it way more, and I wish I would have listened to it in that light instead of the way I listened to it.
Well, I also really appreciate Ryan's takes on these tracks because I think this and Psychopathic Right is Dumpin', which we're going to talk about next time, I think these are the last two albums that Ryan has significantly more experience with than me and Steve do.
Yeah, it's going to start turning over after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you will become the Padawan or whatever. Now, guys, well, before we talk about this Big T skit, so I discovered that the two tracks that don't appear on Spotify from this album of uncleared music are the two Psychopathic Rightus tracks, which is Are You a Writer and Whoo! And both of these tracks actually appear on Dumpin', the Psychopathic Writers album, the debut album by Psychopathic Writers, which is what we're going to be talking about. So how would you guys feel about doing that, doing these two, covering those two tracks when we cover that album? Is that cool?
Yes.
That is cool with me, especially since I listened to the album like once in an entirety and then listened to it on YouTube broken up, and those weren't on there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. They're like the two best songs.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we jump ahead, I think we need to talk about Jamie Madrox and his character Big T, right? That's what's happening right now?
Yes. Yeah, introduction of this character. I wonder if he appears. He does. Spoilers. He appears later in the album in another skit, but I wonder if he comes back again. Big T. Do you guys know? Steve, I think you're the most fluent in Twisted.
According to Jeremy, the character was introduced on the Juggalo show, which was a radio show that they had. And I don't know. I don't know if that predated this necessarily, so this might be the debut of the character, but it is not the last time that the character would appear.
Did Jamie do this voice on Stranglemania too?
No, I think he just did like his normal like announcer type voice. Like he didn't really do a deep voice, I don't think. But maybe
I thought he did voices of other characters that broke in just over audio, like when they were on they're on the Japanese wrestling footage, but they would have other people that would come in.
It's possible, yeah, it's possible.
I feel like I remember that. I need to rewatch those, man. It's been a long time. But this is a great skit. So it's like all the guys, they're all piled into one car, probably Jump Steady's Skylark, and they swing by Monoxide Child's house, and I guess they're getting Monoxide's cousin wants to also come along. They're gonna go to what I assume, or what we find out later, is a restaurant that they call Coney's. I did try to look up what Coney's could be, or if it's a real restaurant or whatever, but I wasn't sure. There seemed to be a couple of Coney Island themed restaurants, or in name related to Coney Island, like chili dogs, but I don't think that's the same place.
I think they're talking about Coney 99 or whatever. Coney, the guy with the child army,
right?
I don't know. I have to re-listen to it.
So what happens is they're all trying to pile in this car, and so Monoxide comes out and is like, "Hey guys, we got room for my cousin. He wants to come with us." And they're like, "Oh man, we're already packed in here." And it's so great. He's like, "Nah, Violet J, you can shuffle your ass over and make some room back there." And then the reveal when Big T steps out of the house or whatever. I picture him walking down the walkway or whatever towards the car. He's this like giant lumbering man that's gonna have to squeeze into the back seat with these guys.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and it's pretty wild what Jamie Madrox can do with his voice.
Well, then I think he's playing two characters in the same scene, so that's pretty good.
Sure, yeah, definitely. He just did that live, and they weren't tracked or anything.
Right. There's no reason to do that.
Well, it's $85 an hour, guys. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. We still got a handful of tracks to talk about, but we've been going for quite a while already. So since we probably are going to have a lot to say about a couple of these tracks next time, what do you say we cut it for this week and stretch this out to a second week? Because our fans always like it when we do that.
I heard it's their favorite.
Our listeners love it when we stretch to an additional episode. So let's put a pin in this for this week, and then we'll catch up with the rest of it next week. And that's Slim Anus, which I'm sure that you guys are looking forward to. Dead End featuring Ice-T, The Amazing Maze, and Old School Pervert by Mr. Bone. Because we've already talked about all the other tracks as far as I know. I mean, we might dabble in Redneck Ho 99, but I think we covered that pretty well, right? When we did
maybe dip our toe in there.
Just a little bloop.
Just a little,
and
little
Meek
picnic.
Weaver happened to be that song that had another reference to the Beatles. So
There you go. Hell yeah. We already
And
talked
Super
about that.
Bowls. I know. We already talked about Meek Weaver, but I just didn't recognize 2 Beatle references in one album. That stood out to me.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. I like that.
Well, you can say it for another time next week when we talk about
No, I'm done.
For example, next
dead.
week.
I'll edit it over, yeah.
You can follow us on the Twitter and the Instagram at Dim Carnival. You can email us, dimcarnival@gmail.com. Talk to us. Let us know what you're thinking. Thanks to everybody for listening, and we will talk to you next week. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And call the Dragon Zord, because I'm a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. These like 4 lines seem like particularly lazy. Where he is that someone hammering and sawing at the same time? Yeah, I built this called the hammer saw. It's great.
I can do 2 things at once.
I'm thinking it hits the nail when I go in. Then I pull it back and then I put it forward and the hammer saw goes.
It's even funnier because you're cutting out.